Okay. I just wanted to kind of wipe this down a little bit. Wow. You hear the storm out there? Now I'm just going to spray it off quickly. Cleaner rag in here. That's sorry about that. The compressor is a little bit loud. All I'm trying to do is just clean up the parts a little bit. Make sure everything's kind of cleaned up and wiped down. And you know, yeah, I could probably do a lot better job, but you know, for me, that's good. That over there. Wipe it down a little bit more. I'm going to take these off while I'm not spraying with the air compressor. All right. Alright. Next thing I usually do is I take off the clutch housing, the sprocket, and everything in the needle bearing. So usually when I do it, there's a little piece. You can see the little E-clip right here. I just put my piece in here and I put my hand over it so it doesn't flip. And I push it right off. And it goes right into my hand. Put that over there. Okay. There we go. Clean that one. All right. So here's your sprocket. Since this is a 3/8, it's a 3/8-7 2 sprocket is what it is. Okay. All right. Now, I want to take off the clutch housing. take it and clean it up real good. And I usually take and clean this off pretty good because that's where the roller bearings go. Make sure that that's okay. That looks good. Flip that over. And of course, here's your roller bearings. So I need a clean rag for that one. I just kind of clean it up. When I put this all back together, I'll re-grease it. So there we go. Put it right in there. Okay. And put my glasses back on. Okay, I'll try to get all that cleaned out because that's where your clutch is, and then here's your brake. So, next thing I do is I take off this cover to get down into where your brake components are so that I can clean it out. So you can kind of see like this. Here in a second, I'll flip it back up. Okay. Now, something to look at these bolts. Just something that I've learned is if you notice that's a real fine thread bolt. When you're working on a Stihl chainsaw, if it's a fine thread bolt like that, it means that it's going into steel on the crankcase, which this is a 362. So this is definitely a steel housing.
Didn't know that.
Now, if you get one that's a little bit wider apart, it means it's generally going into a plastic or a composite case of some sort. And those you don't want to over tighten. Okay, but take this off and notice there's some garbage in there and stuff. Put my glasses are all fogged. I got stuff all over me. My glasses are all fogged. Oh gosh. Yeah, I told you it's a work in progress. So, in here and before I started getting into this, I should have done what I needed to do first, and I didn't do it. First thing before I usually get in and start breaking into everything is I'll go on ahead, since I put the chain over there into diesel fuel to clean them up or clean it up. I'll take and I'll clean up the bar, because what I like to do is I like to put this tip, once I've got it cleaned up, I like to put this tip, since it's one of the roller tips, I like to put it into oil and let it sit in motor oil. So I'm just kind of looking down through here, and I generally take and run this thing through. It's cleaned out real good. Make sure the bar's cleaned up. There's nothing in the rail down through there. Okay, so I got my thing for oil. I'll just take and stick it right into there. Got the diesel fuel one. All right. You know what I usually do is I usually have this work. This bucket right here is full of a little bit older diesel fuel. So I usually use that one for draining. So we'll drain into that. So okay. Now that I've totally diverted off of what I'm doing. Now I got this all cleaned up. Let's go on ahead and put that over there. I'll go on ahead and spray this out. Yeah, so you can see how that is. That's where your braking system is. Right like that. Take this off. All right. Once I have this taken care of, generally what I'll do is I've got this all cleaned up, so I'll go ahead and I'll put everything back together on this side. Put that back in there. And remember the fine thread screw or bolts, I guess. I think that's I don't know. I don't remember the size. Somebody can probably correct me, but I think it's a T26 or T27, something like that in the size. I don't remember exactly. Let me see if it says on here. Of course, on the scrunch, it's not going to say it. But that's okay. Okay. I don't tighten them too tight. I just tighten them down like this. Because you don't really need to tighten them so tight. Okay. All right. So next thing I do, right here's where your oiler and stuff is. So I take and I go on ahead and put this back on, and then, oop, good one. Did you see that one? Put this little bolt back in there. Notice fine thread. So it tells you you're going into metal. Generally, where you find the coarse thread bolts like this are in your non-professional series saws. So that would be your homeowner saws and farm saws. So, oh, let me get in here. Like what? MS170 used to be one time an 017. Okay, so that's back in there. So we're going to go on ahead and we're going to put sprocket housing back in. All right. So generally,
What's that?
this is basically multi-purpose bearing grease. So it's real important. It needs to be on here because you've got the your roller bearing, but you don't want to get it internal here or on any of these or on any of the other, you know, parts inside. So I kind of take and just put it right like that in here, because what we'll be doing is grabbing this right here, which is your roller bearings, make sure I get grease on it. And then the other thing is you got to be sure and get grease on the internal of it too. So you take and put it on your crankshaft extension too. That grease is in there. There you go. You can tell there's grease on there. Yeah, it looks bad and everything else, but try to clean it up a little. Okay. And we got the grease on there. Now, there's a mark right there. That's for your oiler. And I've got to see where that is. It's right there. You can see it right down in there. You can see the light hit it right now. So that mark has to go right there. There we go. It goes right in it. Okay. Now, go on ahead and clean that grease up like that. See how that grease is on there real good? That's what you want. I'll be sure that roller bearing's greased up real good. Okay. Now, one thing that I've always learned with these, when you're putting these sprockets back on, you always put the letter side out. So it goes right on there like that. And then you put your cover that covers up the barrel bearing. And then some people have fun with this. I hear all kinds of ways to do this. Oh, you can do it this way and that way and everything else. And you know what? I've tried several different ways because these E-clips will go flying. The easiest way that I've found to do it is to put a regular standard screwdriver, like this end of the scrunch, get it right on the edge of that, and then I take and I just hit it. And notice it's almost on there right now. There it is. But that was the easiest way I've found to put that back on. So we got everything back together there. Okay. Now, what I usually do from here is I move into clean up the rest of the saw itself. And if you notice, it's not really that dirty at all, because last time I cleaned this thing, it was last year, and I only used this to clean up down there at the bottom with the flood stuff. So we're good with that. Now, here's the unlock is this way. All right. So you can tell there's nothing even in that filter. So the filter looks pretty clean. So I'll take my clean one. I just want to wipe it down. Go on and put this on and turn it back in until it clicks. All right. Now, what I'm going to do be spraying directly into the filter because I don't want to mess up the filter. But I'm gonna put this stuff away. Over here and that over there. Put this over here. Now. All I'm doing is just kind of spraying out the cylinder head. And around the electronics. Okay. Here's something if you on these 362s, they have a summer mode, you know, so it's for warm weather, and then they have a winter mode. Whichever side that line is on is what it's for. So right now, this saw, if you look down in, you can see there's no hole from the cylinder end where the air is. And the line here is on sun, so it's for warm weather mode. If you were to take it up, flip it around, put it down in, now the line goes over to the cold weather mode, and you've opened it up so your heat can enter into where the your air is and everything, your carburetor. So we don't want that on. I only use that if it's really, really, really cold. Okay, and here in Oklahoma, it doesn't get that cold. So next thing I do is I want to take the side here off and clean in the area around the flywheel and all. Yeah, this is a long one. If you notice when I take things off, yeah, it's another fine thread. I will put them in orientation as to where they came off here. So I usually like to loosen everything first. So that way it doesn't maybe cause warpage or anything. I don't know, maybe that's crazy, but who knows. All right, here's number 2. Notice fine thread. And 3. And number 4. All right, so now that just pulls up. So what I want to do is kind of clean around in here, make sure everything's cleaned. Want to make sure that that's working. And this saw is almost brand new. It may have 10 hours total on this saw. So sometimes you want to take and add a little bit of lubrication in there, but I don't think I really need to. I'm just going to turn it off. Put on my eye protection and sorry, that compressor is quite loud. So I could probably clean this a heck of a lot better if I wanted to, but that'll knock a little bit off of there. Yeah, the way these new generation saws work, at least the way it's explained to me, is that with this on here, this side on here, it creates like a flow where the flywheel here takes and pushes air around and up through and up into your cylinder head to help cool it off and stuff. So it's actually far above when I pull apart. You can probably see on this 026 that I do, when I do it, I didn't use it this year, so I won't clean it up, but you can tell a difference. That's the series, the 026 is a series before the MS362C, 261, 262, which 262 is now current. Okay, and you can tell a difference when you get into that. You can tell that it doesn't have the airflow around the cylinder and everything the way that these newer saws do. And you can see the same thing with this one right here, which this happens to be Tanya's saw, which is an MS241, and that thing comes with a 3/8 inch Pico chain, and man, that thing is probably as fast as that 026, and that 026 is a ripper. It really gets after it. Okay, so we got that all off and cleaned up pretty much. Let's go ahead and take and clean this out as well as we can. That's all I want to do is just make sure that's all cleaned out real good and airflow and everything in here will be good. And there's not a bunch of garbage in there, and make sure that the head's kind of cleaned off. And then we take and put it back together. There we go. It goes right into there. So I grab them in order. I laid them out the way they go. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. That's the way they were. So I'll go on and put this one in first. So remember, this is just the way that I clean this saw. However you want to clean it is totally up to you. My suggestion is watch a bunch of different people clean their saws, and you'll learn something from everybody. It's amazing when you watch some people, it's like, wow, I didn't even think about doing that. I do that all the time. I guess it comes back to that old not thinking out of the box routine, you know. Okay, so crank it down a little. Notice I don't crank it down big time heavy. You want to try it and be sure that your flywheel catches on the flywheel, which it is. All right, so that's basically it. The other thing is kind of see if you can wipe down the rest of it. Just kind of wipe it off in a hurry. I don't make it show quality, put it that way, but I just want it so it's kind of cleaned up and ready for next year. If I put it on the right way. trying. So that's pretty much how I clean it up quickly and get this thing ready for stored for summer. Instead of, you know how everybody cleans and stores everything for winter. Well, now this is clean and store everything for summer. Like I said, around here in Oklahoma, you do not want to be cutting wood in the summer.